in this one, I wanted to talk about a new fascination. Well, maybe it's not new, but it's been at the forefront of my mind lately, and that is the next frontier, and that is the universe and the cosmos. And in this one, I'm talking about the book Cosmos by Carl Sagan. But before we get into it, the like button, yo. The like button is free, yo. Don't cost you a thing. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Click that notification bell so you can get new updates on weekly videos. So without further ado, let us begin. Let us begin with this little rock that we're on. And if you think about it, Earth is pretty tiny. If you compare the size of the Earth with the size of the universe or the cosmos, Earth is just a speck of dust, and the size of the universe is almost beyond our comprehension. The size of the universe is so big that we had to come up with a brand new unit of measurement to measure it, which is based on the speed of light. So light is the fastest thing in the universe, and in just 1 second, light travels about 186,000 miles or 300,000 kilometers. And that's a lot of coverage, I know. So in relatable terms, that is about 7 times around the Earth. Based on that, scientists use light years when they're talking about the cosmos, and that is essentially the amount of distance light covers in a year. And to put a figure on it, that's about 6 trillion. That's with a T, yo, with a T. 6 trillion miles or 10 trillion kilometers. I know, it's crazy. And if that wasn't already mind-blowing enough, consider the fact that the cosmos contains about 100 billion galaxies or 10 to the power of 11 galaxies. And to put that into perspective, each galaxy has about 10 to the power of 11 stars and 10 to the power of 11 planets. And if you do the math, this little rock that we live on is just 1 out of 10 to the power of 22 planets, which is really makes you feel insignificant. And you know, this fascination with the stars isn't just a recent phenomena. Since the dawn of time, we've always wondered what exactly those little twinkle dots in the sky are. Since the dawn of humankind, our ancestors were always curious as to what these little things, these dots that twinkle away at the night are, and they didn't just stop there at that point of curiosity. They actually used these stars or dots in the sky to their advantage. About 40,000 generations ago, our nomadic ancestors fixed annual meetings with other tribes just by looking at the stars. And they also used the stars to calculate the rhythm of the seasons so that they could know which fruit to pick and when antelope and buffalo would migrate. This is all possible because of the regular and predictable movement of the heavenly bodies. Which brings us to Venus and Mars. And you know, there's an old saying that goes, women are from Venus, but men are from Mars. And this saying is based on the Roman idea of Venus being the goddess of love and Mars being the god of war. And I mean, it's a nice expression, but the physics tends to say otherwise. You see, Venus is basically our solar system's version of hell, and it is about 600 million kilometers closer to the sun than Earth. And because of this, the surface temperatures get insanely hot, and these surface temperatures can reach up to about 900 degrees Fahrenheit or 480 degrees Celsius. But it kind of gets worse, and there's this process called astronomical spectroscopy to determine what exactly is in Venus's atmosphere. And the light that shows us that is shown from that process shows that the atmosphere is comprised of about 96% carbon dioxide, and above its surface clouds are concentrated of sulfuric acid, and this is actually what helps to maintain the greenhouse effect, which keeps the planet hot. But things are a little bit different on Mars, and although Mars is not really a honeymoon spot, it's a lot similar to Earth in many regards. Mars has polar ice caps, white clouds, dust storms, and hours in the day are 24 hours as well. And these similarities may explain why we believe aliens to be Martians, and this Martian myth actually was originated from the Bostonian Percival Lowell, which is actually, he's the creator of the Lowell Observatory, which was founded in Flagstaff, Arizona in about 1894. And it's very possible that there is extraterrestrial life out there, but it's very unlikely that these extraterrestrials will come to Earth in a spacecraft. You know, all in all, if there are going to be real Martians, they're most likely going to be human Martians. And this does not stop us from asking certain questions like, are there other life forms out there? Are there other life forms in other galaxies? You know, we can't be completely sure or certain, but we will know one thing for sure, and that is, if there are extraterrestrials, they will look very different from us humans. Just think about all the variety of life on Earth, from single-celled organisms to whales to insects to humans. Earth truly has a rich amount of cornucopia. Evolution has been a long and slow process filled with random amounts of different mutations, all depending on conditions on Earth. And this means that there's no reason to believe that other life forms from other planets will look the same as life forms on Earth. Because after all, that planet will have its own conditions and have its own evolutionary history and processes. But that doesn't exactly mean that we can't guess how other life forms from other planets will look like, right? So let's take Jupiter for example. Jupiter is a large gaseous planet that has plenty of hydrogen and helium in its atmosphere. And if there were to be life forms on Jupiter, they'd most likely propel themselves using gusts of gas and will most likely make their own food via photosynthesis, just like plants do on Earth. And with all that being said, if we are to find extraterrestrials, it's very unlikely that our first point of contact will be in person. And most likely they send transmissions to us via radio waves, and that's because radio is a fast, cheap and simple way to communicate over long distances. You see, modern science isn't particularly quite modern. Actually, the ancient Ionians were the first to get there, but their science and methods and processes were suppressed for centuries. See, for most people, modern science has some sort of association with Enlightenment or people such as Copernicus or Leonardo da Vinci. After all, they were both products of the Renaissance. But actually, modern science has deeper roots, and these roots stem from the ancient Ionians, which were its forefathers. Ionia was a region in the Eastern Mediterranean, and today you can think of that as the Eastern Greek islands and the western coast of Turkey. And Ionia was at the crossroads of civilization, and not only was it the center of trade, but it was also influenced by the Egyptians, the Babylonians, and other mighty civilizations. Each one of these civilizations had their gods that were believed to reign over their territory, and this left the Ionians a little baffled, you know, like who are they supposed to believe in? The Greek god Zeus or the Babylonian god Marduk? So what they did was they decided that the laws of nature and the rules of physics were the things that they would be governed by. Ionians started experimenting and thus ushered in a scientific revolution, and most famously was Democritus, which he invented the concept of the atom in about 430 BCE. The word atom actually stems from the Greek word meaning uncuttable, and he argued that if you took a knife and an apple and cut the apple with the knife, you were actually cutting through the empty spaces between the atoms. Through this, he determined that every object can be comprised of atoms and empty spaces. So let me end it there, because there's there's a lot of knowledge in this book, yo. There's a lot of good golden nuggets, and I highly recommend it if you're particularly interested, or even if you're not interested about that next frontier. It's where we're heading. We're soon, hopefully soon, going to be a interplanetary species. So you best start, filling up on that knowledge soon enough. So with that, whoever made it this far, appreciate you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to, listen to what I got to say, So yeah, I guess until next time, yo, I'm out.